BYU just pulled off a huge upset over number 7 Kansas at the Fog, where they haven't lost all season. Was this the best regular season win of BYU basketball history? Welcome to Saturday's Warrior, the channel where we talk all things BYU, Big 12, college realignment, all that good stuff. But tonight, we are reacting to the BYU upset over number 7 Kansas. What a win. It is a win that many are saying, at least on Twitter, could be the best regular season win in BYU basketball history. Now, I'm not ready to go that far. There is another game that I definitely would put before it, but man, what a game. I thought going into it that there was a chance BYU could pull off this upset, but I didn't voice that anywhere because I didn't want to jinx them. Really felt like, BYU has struggled against some of these lesser teams, but then they've put up a really good fight, even where they've run out of gas late against some of this top competition. Talking about Texas Tech or Baylor when they played at Baylor, and so even Houston. So I felt like there was a chance because Kansas, by Kansas standards, is having a bit of a down year. They're not quite the same Kansas we're used to seeing year in and year out. Now, that's still, a down Kansas, right, is still a very good Kansas team. And so this was a huge task for BYU to go in there, play where Kansas hasn't lost all season and take them on. And so I thought there was a chance. I wasn't overly hopeful. The game, how it started, it did feel like BYU was smaller than Kansas at just about every position. But what I liked to see is that BYU was forcing Kansas to take tough shots. Now, the thing with that is they were still making a lot of those because I think the overall talent level and athleticism, they were able to make some shots that I thought were types of shots that you kind of live with. Having said that, it did feel like one of those games that could get away from BYU quickly, especially with the fouls mounting up. That takes us to the second half. And I'm not going to harp on the officiating too much. It is what it is. It's game in and game out. We're used to seeing some bad calls, but man, the calls on Hunter Dickinson, and there were some that I was just wondering how they missed going the other way. It looked very similar types of things happening to him that would happen on the other end and whatever. So, excuse me. So yeah, there was some bad calls. Nonetheless, some of it, and a lot of it was because BYU was playing tenaciously. Like they were playing very locked down. Like they were focused on the defensive end and making it difficult for Kansas. And I like to see that. And, if you pull some, end up with some more fouls than you expect, something I can live with because they had to, give all out effort on both ends of the floor in order to pull off a win like that. And so I like that. I like the hustle, the energy, and they really never let up. And in some ways, having those fouls played to their favor because Kansas missed so many free throws, mainly Dickinson, that really played to BYU's favor, allowed them to kind of slow down the game, at least on Kansas's side, and then continue to hang in there, get some points, and chip away at the lead, and put them in the position where they were late in the game, where the game was pretty close. And it was a time where we've seen BYU fade a lot of the season, and instead they picked it up and they got hot. And you really like to see that, especially with so many key players in foul trouble. Shooting was pretty decent. Most of that was Jackson Robinson. It felt like most of the other guys were having trouble hitting threes, and that was a thing. Even kind of taking a step back here, but even when BYU was able to get in their sets and make some, there was one play in particular that I felt like illustrated this, but it was Khalifa made just one of his traditional passes that we know him for to a cutting man, and I can't remember who it was, and he took it all the way to the rack and passed his defender, but Dickinson, I believe, came up behind and blocked it. And So it felt like even when BYU was doing everything right and really getting into their stuff, that Kansas's size and athleticism was still enough to slow them down. So at that point, I was getting a bit worried because our shooting percentage wasn't high enough, and we weren't able to, even when we did things right. And I say we, I know I'm not out there. Even when the team did things right, it still felt like they couldn't um, get it to go. And so, anyway, going back to the last few minutes, this is when they really picked up. They got hot, and you love to see that leadership from the guys out there. And Dallin Hall, he gets kind of kicked around a little bit. He has his moments, and where he can get flustered and cough it up. Although I think he's gotten better about that. But there's other moments where he's just really in control of the game out there, and I think we saw that late in the game where he came up big, and some of the other guys as well. You gotta love that. So it feels really good. Not only, I mean, it's always good to have a top 10 win, especially at their house, especially right now, right after BYU dropped out of the top 25 for the first time, I believe, in like 13 weeks this season. I don't know if that played into extra motivation. I don't know if it was them getting that chance to go home and reset over the weekend, if that helped, having the chance to shoot around in the gym. I don't know what it was, but BYU came out locked in tonight, and even when things weren't going well, they didn't get flustered, and they stayed with it, and that is what I love. I still think because it's a topic of conversation, the Gonzaga win in 2017 was a better win. I'm not going to go as far. It's the best win I can think of in BYU regular season history. It meant more. I mean, one, it was a number one team. They hadn't lost to anybody all year. In fact, it was their only loss all the way until the national championship game. And so this is a team that was all the way there in the national championship. This is one, and it was also a rivalry game, one where BYU and Gonzaga had gone at it back and forth. Whoops, not sure what happened. Stopped recording on me. Nonetheless, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Is this Kansas win the best regular season win of BYU men's basketball history, or was it another game? Let me know, and let me know if you think that this win is enough to help BYU get back in the conversation of being a 5 seed in the tournament, potentially playing at home in Salt Lake in the opening round of the tournament. Let me know both those things in the comments, and please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot, and we're really trying to grow this and get more BYU fans involved. Appreciate it, and as always, go Cougs!